We're back out again. It's early spring. We've finally been allowed out again to do nights, even though it was -3 last night. We're in a lovely complex of lakes, Stanwick Lakes, and we've particularly chosen a lake called Elsons Lake. Beautiful lake, loads of old scaly bangers in here. And I've had a good look round, a good walk around this morning. I've done a lap and it's starting to get a little bit busy. It's going to get busier later on. So I've looked at this little corner out the way of the main drag, out the way of everyone else. We're casting and putting loads of bait out, things like that. And I've actually seen a few in the snags. So we're going to start off in here, and throughout the session I'm going to give you a little insight on how I approach my spring fishing. So without further ado, I'm going to get the gear off the barrow, set up and see if we can catch a couple. Okay, so I've had a little lead around. I found a nice silt area in front of the snag, about 20 yards. I'm going to stick a little hinge stiffy on there, little spray of bait, and the other 2 rods I'm going to stick towards the snags where I've seen the fish earlier on. Right, I'm going to get them out. Okay, so the rods are out. You see me put the right hand rod out there, that nice silt depression. The other 2 rods I cast out towards the snags. When I was around there and I saw them fish, I could just about make out the bottom. It looked really light coloured granite out there, so I've opted for a couple of wafter rigs. We'll leave them out there all night or until we catch one. So all that's left to do now, sit back, have a couple of brews, watch the water and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Well, the evening's drawing in and it looks like it's going to be another cold one. Today's been a bit up and down with the temperatures. 1 minute it's sunny, next minute it's cold. I really thought we was going to nick a bite, but it's not surprising really with the leading around and the different temperatures during the day. Right hand rod I've had on a single since this morning, hopefully going to try and nick one on that. But tonight I'm going to put about 20 baits scattered around the area. It's a nice deep silty area, and then hopefully off one of the rods we'll have one to show you in the morning. I don't really know, what am I doing? Nothing, I don't really know what I'm doing. Seagull attractor. Look how many of them there are. Look, it's out of control. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what, I've got 3 baits out of 526 actually in the water. Well, good morning. Well, it would be a good morning if I had something to show you. Although I did have a couple of tension the night off the 2 snag spots. Recast them a little bit short because I didn't want to cast into the snags. But I've redone the rods, so it's all to play for. I have seen a couple of fish in the area, but nothing else out in the main lake. So, bite time is still upon us. Fingers crossed, we're going to catch one this morning. Well, I'm wounded, absolutely gutted would be an understatement. Managed to get the bite after putting it back out there from catching the tench in the morning. Couple of turns on it, getting it away from the snag. I thought the job was done and we was going to land the fish, and it went back in the snag. Managed to eject the hook onto a branch. I don't know where that branch come from, but it managed to eject the hook into the branch and it was all over. So with fishing, the highs and lows, you just got to keep on keeping on. So I've got that rod back out there, put a little bit more bait out there. I've seen a couple of fish in the snag again. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have another chance at getting a bite. Realistically, I think it's going to be the early hours of the morning or tomorrow around about the same time before we have to pack up and go. But fingers crossed, let's keep on trying to nick a bite. On this session, my chosen bait is the XXX. I use this bait all the way through spring, all the way through to autumn when the temperatures start to rise. Normally above 10 degrees, I switch from my normal winter bait, which is a live system, through to the XXX as soon as it gets above 10 degrees. I don't want to put out loads of bait in the spring, or unlike the summer, which I can put out quite a bit of bait over a widespread area, I want to put high attractive bait in the spring, but not as much. Less is more. So how I do this is I mix high quality liquids with high quality powders to create what you could call a cured bait. I want to create as much attraction in the swim, but as little actual food items as possible. I don't want to overfeed them, because in the springtime they're just starting to wake up and less is more. So how do I do this? First of all, what I do is I get a kilo of boilies. I don't go crazy with 4 or 5 kilos, just a kilo of boilies in a bucket, and I have my first liquid, which will be salmon oil, a nice liquid which is going to be all through the water column. I'll add Feastim XP to that as well, another nice liquid as well, which is going to soak into the boilies. Give them a real good mix up in a bucket or a bag, and then once they've soaked in for about 12 to 24 hours, really soaked into those boilies, I'll add my GLM powder, a really good salty powder which the fish just love this time of year because it's got such a high salt content and mineral content. I'll mix that into the boilies that have been soaking, give them a good mix, and about 12 hours before I go, so they're ripe and ready and cured for when I go on my session like I am now. In this particular trip, I've probably used only about 50 baits. I've put some out with the frame stick onto the right hand rod in that deeper, siltier area, and I've walked round to the snaggy areas, the snaggy spots I'm fishing, and hand put in chops and little bits and pieces for maximum attraction on those areas. I haven't put loads in because the old adage is you can put it in but you can't take it out. I'd like to talk to you about the rigs I'm using on this session. Now on my snag rigs, I've been using a D rig with a nice wafter hook bait, slowly sinking down, getting lots of little knocks and little bits and pieces, and I just felt that I wasn't getting the bites quick enough, maybe because it's a pressure day ticket water, that the rounder type of baits, it's a little bit too obvious, and especially after losing that one as well, I didn't think the hook was big enough. Yeah, I wanted to use a bigger hook and a more supple hook link because I don't think it's as flat where I'm fishing as I thought it was in the first place. So I swapped over and going to persevere with a much suppler hook link, a bigger hook on a slip D type of rig with a cut down wafter. So it's giving out more attraction and it's not as obvious. And with a tiny little sight on there, a little pink, or you could use a yellow or a white. I'm just going on pink because of the colour of the water. So I'm going to persevere with that after losing that fish, the bigger hook. On the right hand rod, I'm using, because it's spring, a nice high attract Northern Special white on that, on a hinge stiffy, just past the weed. So it'll be sitting in there in the silt, and we're going to persevere with that one as well. Because I've done very well this time of year on a Northern Special on the old hinge stiffies. So that's where we're at. A little change was in order, I think, because I didn't think I was getting bites as quick as I should have been, and we'll see where we go from there. We're coming into our last night. We've been seeing the fish up and down, all over the rigs, in and out the snags. Really thought we was going to get a bite today. Just been sitting on our hands, just waiting for it to go, but it hasn't materialised. With the sun being out today, the fish have been right up in the water and haven't dropped down. But with the sun going down now and the temperature dropping, there's a good chance the fish are going to drop down and we're going to have a real good chance of catching one tonight or in the morning. So fingers crossed, let's hope we can put one on the bank finally. Well, good morning. This morning's a much better morning than yesterday morning because we've got one in the sling. Even though we were plagued by tench all night, we put maximum effort in to get the rods back out on the spots. Now it's been freezing cold, and the one we've got in the sling is not the biggest fish in the world, but is more than welcome because there hasn't been a lot out. I think there's been one other fish out since we've been here. So let's get her out and show her to you. Just check out this little dude. Lovely little scaly banger, eh? Not the biggest fish in the world, but more than welcome under the conditions how cold it's been. But that is spring fishing for you. Still got another chance of another bite. We had lost that fish yesterday about this time. So let's get her back, sit down and see if we can catch another one. Well, we've come to the end of our trip. Unfortunately, the fish haven't turned up like they did yesterday morning, and we've had no more bites. Managed to catch one, but I'm still gutted that we lost one as well. This lake's really got under my skin, and I've seen some absolute monsters, some real lovely looking fish in the margins, so we're going to have to come back in a couple of weeks' time to see if we can catch one of them. The weather has been unfavourable, and hopefully on our next visit the weather would have calmed down a bit, be a bit more spring-like, not the minus temperatures that we've had. So look forward to seeing you for the next one. Okay, we're back at Elsons Lake. It's about a month since we was last down when we had all those minus temperatures. Spring is roughly finally here. Double figure temperatures, 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees at night, so we've got a much better chance of catching a few. Got down this morning, it's quite busy, there's quite a few people on. A few fish milling about underneath the surface. We're coming into this big double swim here, gives us a little bit of range. We've got a big snag tree down to the right, nice bit of weed, shallower area that the fish like in the spring. May give the old floaters a go, the fish are about, but I'm going to get settled in, get some bottom bait rods out, settled in for the day, see what happens. Oh, that is the one. So we're getting fishing. We've had a little bit of a cast out there, found a couple of little spots, was just about to get the rods out and we had an almighty downpour, thunder and lightning, crackle. It's like a river's been running through the bivvy. But we'll put a few baits out there, get the rods out there, get fishing and see what this afternoon and tonight brings. Rods are all out, sorted now, eventually, although we did have another absolute monumental downpour, hailstones, windy, the full bifter. Fishing a totally different area to what we was on our last session. I must admit, I do feel a little bit more my style of fishing, open water, spread of bait, fishing 3 hinges on 3 little nice little small intimate spots that I've found in the weed. Few fish milling around, floating around the spots and the area, and I feel really confident. So all we've got left to do is bang on the barbecue in a while, sit back, relax, and it's hopefully we can catch a couple. Just coming into our first night, and me and Brad, the guy behind the lens, has just polished off a mega barbecue on this spring evening. Now, still a few fish around and it looks promising for a bite either in the night or early morning. But if that doesn't materialise, we've also got to the right, there's a few fish in that snag. If they don't come out, we're going to have a look, see if they're still in there tomorrow, maybe position a bait right on the edge of it, feed them up a little bit and see if we can get a bite. So our options are still open, but for now, let's go to this first night full of confidence, see what happens by the morning. You may have noticed from the lack of morning update that we haven't had anything. It's not through want of trying so far. But as you can see, we're all packed up. Just got a crank in the rods and we're going to move up the other end. Reason being, the fish just aren't here. There's a few million about. And in the centre of the lake, where we're going to move to, there's been a couple of fish out last night. So, effort equals reward. We're going to up sticks, barrow everything down there, get some baits out there and see if we can nab one for our last 24 hours. Just prepping some rigs up to put out there. And this particular spot that I'm fishing is a lot harder than the first swim. With the first swim I was still using little hinges, but I was using a more supple boom, a braided hook link. Because the spots out here are much firmer, I'm using a fluorocarbon boom. So it pushes it away, it's a little bit more stiffer, a little bit more for them to get rid of. Hook bait choice. I'm going to fish one on a white Northern Special, probably one or two on a match the hatch. I found that works very well this time of year. This is the lead core leader, so if you see the beads pushed up quite a bit there, that's just in case I do fall on a bit of weed just off the spot. That's going to settle nicely onto the area and still be fishing. I'm going to finish prepping these, getting these hook points lovely and sharp, and then we're going to get them out there. I haven't spoke about bait very much in this session, much the same as it was the last session. Triple X, both whole boilies and chopped boilies, same liquids and powders over the top. Now I'm fishing 3 different zones out there and I really don't want to overfeed them. I don't want to put loads of bait out. So I'm going to use about 3 to 4 spots, put it on each different area, and hopefully one of those spots will produce the goods. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to get spomming now, and you never know, we may just pull it out the bag. You may have noticed on these last couple of trips I've been using braid. In my honest opinion, I think particularly on weedy lakes like this, it's a real advantage, a real edge over mono. With mono you get a lot of stretch. With braid you get no stretch at all. So when you're casting out trying to find them little harder spots, clearer spots in amongst the weed, it's really true and really telling on the end of the rod. You don't have to take a separate leading rod as well. You just use the rod that you've got with your rigs on, cast it out, find your spots, then reattach your rig, wrap it out, and you're on the money every time. Unfortunately, we're coming into our last night on Elsons Lake. It's looking good out there. I'm on some lovely spots that I found earlier on, and I feel that we've moved on to some feeding fish. So hopefully by the morning we're going to have 1 or 2 to show you. Haven't seen that much this evening, this afternoon, since we moved up here, but we have been messing about with casting out, spomming out, and getting all the gear set up. But I feel really confident for the night ahead. So fingers crossed we can go from 0 to hero by the morning. good morning. What a lovely morning it is. We've managed to catch a lovely mid-20 mirror. Got it waiting to have its photo taken. But what I have realised is that the fish are up on top. So I pouched out a few of the floaters and they're just taking them like Pac-Man. So I've got my float rod in my hand. I'm going to try and give it a go, try and catch one off the top this morning. Right in between them. Come on, come on. Oh. Come on, baby. Well, persistence has paid off and we got one off the top on the floaters, had them going absolutely crazy and we've managed to snare ourselves one. Problem is we've got to get it in now, but I'm sure we will do. Oh, yeah, they were just taking them floaters like you wouldn't believe. Even at 5 AM in the morning, there's always an opportunity. It's fighting well now. Come on, man, fucking. Get out of there. Oh, man. God, what a fight this is. What a fight. Come on, baby. Come on, 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 come on. Oh, yes, yes. Got one off the top, right proper opportunity. It looks like a good common as well. I'm over the moon, made up. What a result first thing this morning. Oh man, back in time home for medals and cups of tea. Well, I'm absolutely made up with that. A couple of fish, one on a floater, one off the deck, and it probably hasn't seemed it in the video, both last time and this time, but we've really pulled the stops out to try and catch one. Getting in the last swim on a busy lake, then having to move onto where we thought the fish were, and it's all come good in the end. So I'm just going to take 5 minutes to calm down because the adrenaline is still pumping, have a brew, chill out, and then we'll see our prizes, shall we? Well, here we go, 27.2 mirror. This was the first of the action this morning, taken on a match the hatch triple X corkball pop-up over a spray of about 3 or 4 spods of triple X chops and holes, and I'm really made up with this one. We really fought to catch one like this over the last couple of days, and it's come good. So this was the first of the 2. The other one we caught on a floater, nice common, which we're going to get out to show you. I'm going to get this one back now first. Here we go, the second of the bites this morning, just over 30 pound, cracking common. What a way to go, eh? Nice mirror, nice common. It's just, I'm blown away a little bit. After that small one we caught on the first session, losing one as well, it's all come good in the end. And a floater caught one as well. We've had one off the bottom and a floater caught one as well. It's just crazy, it's madness. But yeah, I'm just gonna take this little character, put her back in a minute, but for now, I'm just gonna enjoy and reflect on what a great session I've had. Session's coming to an end now. I'm going to reel these rods in. It's been highs and lows, but we've managed to catch two cracking fish. Particularly, it stands out to me is that common. What a lovely fish, over 30 pound, caught in the morning, floater fishing, seizing the opportunity, definitely. Looking forward to actually getting home, because it has been rather draining, and I really did think we had another chance this morning. That's why I've left it quite late in the morning to pack up. Just like to say thanks to Phil and John for having us at Elsons Lake. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great. I'm going to reel this rod in and get going.